connected to San Diego's late news leader. This is 10 News Live at 11.
Our numbers are absolutely accurate, and I defy anybody to come here and take a look at those and find anything wrong with them.
San Diego's police chief upset over allegations his improving crime rate is a sham. Good evening, I'm Carol LeBeau.
And I'm Hal Clement. According to the numbers, San Diego's crime rates are down, but are those statistics being manipulated? 10 News investigative reporter Tom Jensen is here now with some intriguing information he's uncovered. Tom?
Well, crime rates and crime reports are important to police departments. That's how crime rates are established. The lower they are, the more money departments can get. We looked closer after receiving complaints. San Diego police were not reporting some of the crimes.
What'd you do to me?
The gray house with the white trim.
Crime is down. San Diego is one of the safest big cities in the U.S. But are the improved crime rates based on inaccurate statistics? Because officers are ordered to look the other way and not report some crimes?
They were telling officers, don't forget, unless you absolutely have to, try not to be taking any reports.
Former El Cajon police officer Kevin LaChapelle has friends at San Diego PD who say there's a deliberate effort to underreport crime. San Diego Police Chief Bill LANSDOWNE says LaChapelle is wrong. Even with a diminished police force, he says San Diego has one of the lowest crime rates in the country.
I give that credit to this police department, and I intend to defend them when they're impugned unfairly and unjustly with statistics that are questionable.
We wanted to know if LaChapelle's claims are valid, so we looked for crime victims.
He grabbed me from my back, and he started touching me.
Lisa says she was attacked by a man in Mission Valley as she walked to school one morning. The problem is the attack on Lisa was never recorded by police. No crime report, no follow-up investigation.
They told me they were going to take the report, and then later I found out that they never did take that report.
Add to that the sketch of a man police say raped 2 women just weeks after the assault on Lisa. Lisa says if you add a goatee to him, he looks just like the man who attacked her. And he's still wanted. Others have come forward saying they're the victims of crimes where no police reports exist. An assault in Mid-City.
As soon as I stepped out of my car, he started striking me.
No report. The same is true after a boy is robbed at knife point.
They just look at me like it's kind of late now. There's not much we can do.
Again, no report. Even a shopping center security guard who says it's a common practice. He calls police and they file no report and make no arrests.
Very rarely do they actually take people into custody.
We looked at the numbers. In 2004, San Diego police officers were sent out on more than 670,000 calls, but only took reports on fewer than 8% of those calls. We compared the statistics to LAPD, where 21% of dispatched calls result in crime reports. At the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, crime reports are filed 23% of the time. Both report crimes at more than twice the rate of San Diego PD.
I take umbrage to anyone that would make such a suggestion that we would doctor the numbers. Our numbers are absolutely accurate, and I defy anybody to come here and take a look at those and find anything wrong with them.
One statistic you cannot ignore. The rate of car thefts in San Diego has gone up and is the only major crime to increase.
Why is it that auto theft increased and everything else decreased? Maybe that's because auto theft is the only report that is absolutely no way of getting out of taking it.
And no way you'll get your insurance money without a police report. Chief LANSDOWNE says our crime stat examples are like comparing apples to oranges. He says San Diego has different crime trends than the county and Los Angeles. You can voice your opinions at 10news.com. Click on investigations to take our online survey about crime stats in San Diego. Or share your personal stories with us through an email link to 10 News Investigates.
Well, the chief, Tom, certainly strongly defended the numbers on his end. Yeah. Is there any chance that this is an apples and oranges situation?
Well, that's what he says, but we looked at the statistics at other cities, and we're trying to get stats from 15 different cities right now, and it looks like right now that San Diego is underreporting, and that's based on the crimes that they report to the FBI by law, the FBI index crimes.
That's interesting. Thank you so much, Tom.
Local cops blow the whistle on San Diego PD Tuesday at 5:30.
Tom?
A recent investigation exposed allegations San Diego PD was fixing crime stats to make the city appear to be safer than it really is. Now officers have bravely come forward defending their actions and saying they are handcuffed by City Hall and by their own superiors. San Diego will never forget the Cedar Fire. The largest natural disaster in its history exposed major problems at area fire departments. But another potential disaster is smoldering just beneath the surface and is about to erupt if major changes aren't made at San Diego PD. That's the claim of police department insiders who say San Diego PD is at its limits.
Biggest thing we face, increase in calls, increase in crime, and an inability to respond in an effective way.
There's nothing true about that.
Police Chief Bill LANSDOWNE says officers are fulfilling their mission to protect and serve.
What carries this department and why we're able to attract people is clearly the reputation of this police department.
But police department insiders say their chief's rosy picture of San Diego is not realistic.
They say we have plenty of cops and crime is down. Both of the statements are false.
We don't respond to as many report calls as we used to.
26-year veteran Craig Myram knows he'll take a lot of heat for talking, but breaks a police code of silence to protect the city and department he loves.
It's important that the people understand that we're losing an entire police department piece by piece.
130 officers left this year, going to other agencies complaining of understaffing, low pay, and of being put in danger with little or no backup.
Morale is horrible, the worst it's been in my 10 years with the department.
And there's never been a year where I haven't heard that same statement. This is the worst the morale's ever been.
But insiders say there is a morale problem, and it spills over onto the streets. Take the case of Amanda Greniger, who witnesses say was mercilessly beaten by a bouncer outside of this Hillcrest area nightclub.
And clotheslined me into a headlock and started dragging me. I was in the air and just pile drive me face first.
Witnesses say the bouncer handcuffed Amanda's hands behind her back and then lifted her by the cuffs and slammed her one more time face first into this sidewalk. As the time ticked away, Amanda laid there face down in her own blood for 2 hours. When police were finally called,
I asked him, can you loosen these handcuffs? And he just looked at me and said, he just told me, shut up.
Our police department insiders say stress on the officers is tremendous and everybody suffers.
We feel we're being blamed and that we're paying the price for something that has occurred at a much higher level than we are.
Chief LANSDOWNE defends his policies, saying his officers are able to do more with less.
I wouldn't judge this department from a couple of officers.
He's a very firm boss.
A criminology expert who worked with LANSDOWNE in San Jose says San Diego's problem is not unique.
The same problem I had in San Jose. We simply didn't have enough officers to respond to every report of a crime.
Not a legitimate excuse as far as Amanda Greniger is concerned.
The whole experience was very demeaning and degrading, but insult to injury was the treatment that I received from the police department.
The city attorney's office is investigating the beating of Amanda Greniger. She has also filed a civil suit against the bouncer in the nightclub, but our insiders say cases like Amanda's expose what is wrong with San Diego PD.
Well, response time is so important when it comes to police calls. I mean, does Amanda have a case given the 2 hours she waited?
And we're not sure exactly what the response time was there. San Diego PD says the response time was 3 minutes. However, some of the witnesses say that they called PD 2 hours before the police department arrived. So still some discrepancies there.
All right, Tom. Thank you.
Local cops blow the whistle on San Diego PD. You're connected to San Diego's late news leader with Carol LeBeau and Hal Clement. This is 10 News Live at 11.
Officers inside the San Diego Police Department say San Diegans are being put at risk by department policies.
10 News reporter Tom Jensen. Police is the police in our exclusive 10 News investigation.
They're out on a busy night in Hillcrest.
315, John. Do you need something else somewhere?
and after a shooting in Nestor. But insiders at San Diego PD say you can't always count on officers when they're needed most.
We don't have the manpower to get officers there in a timely manner.
They may not get to see anybody in person at all.
26-year veteran Craig Myram and this 10-year veteran of the force say their department is eroding away. Hundreds of officers have left PD complaining of low pay, understaffing, and a chief who won't listen. Morale, our insiders say, is at an all-time low.
Well, I wouldn't judge this department from a couple of officers. I wouldn't judge this department with a few isolated cases.
But this San Diegan and others are judging.
I was bleeding from my chin. It was clear I hit my head.
This hit-and-run victim says officers wanted him to drop his complaint.
He didn't want to call an ambulance. He actually discouraged me from calling an ambulance.
A move to avoid the need for a time-consuming police report. And he's not alone. San Diegans have written 10 News complaining. For Isabel G., it was a vehicle break-in in North Park. No report was taken. Claremont's Vincent Z. says after vandalism at his home, officers said there wasn't anything they can do. And James V. in City Heights asks the police to stop talking everyone out of filing crime reports. Our San Diego PD insiders are not surprised.
The crime victims are getting shortchanged.
More and more, I hear it every day from people that they're frustrated.
Since we began our investigation policing the police, other officers have also contacted us. Some are very critical. They say we're dead wrong. But others encourage us to keep digging and remind us there are good officers at San Diego PD who want to do the right thing.
Tom's investigation also uncovered serious holes in the department's patrolling policies. See if your neighborhood is going without the police protection you pay for. More in our exclusive 10 News investigation, Policing the Police, Friday night at 11.
10 News investigative team is keeping an eye on growing problems at San Diego PD.
10 News investigative reporter Tom Jensen has been hearing a lot from police officers and San Diegans since the investigation began. Tom?
A lot of emails and phone calls, many from frustrated citizens, and a lot from sworn officers as well who say San Diego PD is on a downward spiral. Emails have flooded in since our investigation broke. Retired San Diego police officer MG says, I would like an official investigation to shed light on exactly how many officers the city has. From another officer, I think you only hit the tip of the iceberg. So far, San Diego has gotten very lucky. One San Diegan writes, all we hear about is we need more cops on the street. That is not the solution. We need better management of the department. Plus this from a 20-year veteran at San Diego PD. Thanks for the report on the SDPD, but you only scratched the surface. Chief Lansdowne, who is real close to a no-confidence vote, is bending the facts. And we will take a closer look at the areas that officers themselves say are underserved tonight at 11 o'clock as our investigation Policing the Police continues.
Okay, looking forward to that report, Tom. Thank you so much.
Neighborhoods where some of those homes were burglarized are among San Diego's most underserved police beats. 10 News investigative reporter Tom Jensen has been policing the police and joins us now with what he discovered. Tom?
Many officers have broken the ranks and are talking about what's happening inside San Diego PD. And tonight, just how thin officers say they are spread and why they say San Diegans are so vulnerable. Even on a Thursday night, Pacific Beach is busy, especially for San Diego police officers who say they are undermanned and overworked. Not so, says the chief.
I take a police car, I go on those very calls, and I drive through the city, and I see lots and lots of units in the city of San Diego.
But officers tell 10 News their chief and his top managers are not telling the truth.
They're doing the same thing as Enron. They're cooking the books and claiming things are getting better than they were when in fact things are getting worse.
They say San Diego PD is not short on manpower occasionally, but night after night after night. Many officers like Craig Myram say the public and the police are skating on thin ice.
It's really thin. It's really scary.
The problem? Too many calls for help, not enough officers to go around, and everybody pays.
I may be handicapped, but I'm not a punching bag.
When Daniel DeRusha was assaulted on a city street in broad daylight, he called 911 for help.
What's your emergency?
That was at 11:27, according to their time schedule.
And what time did an officer show up?
3:30 in the afternoon.
4 hours later, but DeRusha was already gone, leaving battered and frustrated after 45 minutes. San Diegans have written 10 News with the same complaints. And PD veterans have emailed us and called with an explanation. They are stretched thin. All of La Jolla is typically covered by 2 officers, they say. And PD's large Northeastern Division.
We've gone out with 3 officers in the southern part of our area and 3 officers in the northern part of our area.
6 officers covering an area that stretches from San Pasqual south across Rancho Bernardo through Carmel Mountain and all of Scripps Ranch. Areas like Sorrento Valley sometimes have patrols, but insiders say many neighborhoods like Torrey Highlands, Black Mountain Ranch, and San Pasqual are without police patrols on a regular basis.
Ultimately end up shortchanging not only our safety, but our ability to handle calls for service from the citizens.
Neighbors have noticed the police absence. Some have even armed themselves.
I hunted all my life, and I'm a damn good shot.
You ever see patrol cars come?
See a patrol car. Never see.
Never.
Never see them.
Yeah, you need boots on the street. That's your first line of defense.
There may be one beat that's not covered, but there's always an adjoining beat to manage that area.
It's that type of thinking that has officers concerned about those times when there are multiple calls for help at the same time. For instance, last week here in Pacific Beach, when there were 3 large bar fights that broke out at the same time. Short-handed, they could only respond to one of those brawls. Even when it's in the light of day, many victims never see anyone in uniform. No officer came and questioned you?
No.
Took a description of the person?
No.
Talked to witnesses?
No.
Police and the people they are paid to protect grow more frustrated.
At one time, I believed that they were our first line of backup, and now I don't expect them to be there.
The chief disputes his officers' claims, saying all neighborhoods have normal patrols, but sworn officers tell 10 News even areas with high crime rates and known gang problems go unstaffed or severely understaffed on a regular basis. A startling look at how insiders say policies at San Diego PD prevent crimes actually from being solved, and that's Tuesday night at 5:30. Hal?
Thanks, Tom. The national average, by the way, is more than 2 officers for every 1,000 citizens. Chief LANSDOWNE says San Diego PD is staffed at about 1.5 officers for every 1,000 San Diegans. That is the lowest staffing level among the largest U.S. cities, but department insiders say even that number is inflated.
Police officers say the city's financial problems and policies are tearing apart their department. 10 News investigative reporter Tom Jensen has more on why those issues may be keeping crimes from being solved.
It's a problem across the city, according to San Diego PD officers frustrated with their department.
I'm going to be coming up to help out.
They say many times crime reports are not being written, and when the crimes are reported, a high percentage is not being solved.
A lot of it is falling by the wayside just because we do not have enough people with available time to spend to do what should be done.
A frustration felt by San Diegans victimized by crimes.
Hey, the cops ain't gonna come, so why shouldn't I just go rob people?
Marine Greg Lilly was barely home 2 weeks from the Persian Gulf when he got his first taste of crime in San Diego. Someone broke into Lilly's car and made off with his address and his house keys, among other things. He called the police, who showed up a day later.
And then when they did show up, they told me it would take like 6 to 8 months just to process.
We've heard it again and again. Victims of attempted rape, assault, robbery, hit and run, the list goes on. And from officers who say they too are upset.
Instead of fingerprints being lifted out there, instead of witnesses being found, contacted, and interviewed, they're just jotting down notes and get back into service to respond to more radio calls.
The results show up in the reduced number of crimes solved. Over the past 5 years, under Chief Bill LANSDOWNE, the rate at which San Diego PD solves violent crimes like assaults and rapes is down 10%, Over that same time period, the department saw a 3% dip in the solving of property crimes like burglaries and thefts.
The crime victims are getting shortchanged.
And officers tell 10 News they just don't have the time to do the police work needed to solve those crimes. There are too many crimes and not enough cops. An expert on criminology and longtime friend of San Diego's police chief says the buck stops with the politicians, not the chief.
I sympathize with the citizens, but in fact, you only get so much from the city council, and you have to work with what you get.
Police Chief Bill Lansdowne is aligning himself with Mayor Jerry Sanders, a former police chief who faces funding and staffing problems at every department, including the police department.
But this mayor is not going to be able to do it overnight, and that's exactly what they're asking for.
San Diegans are left wondering where all of their hard-earned money has gone.
I mean, you pay enough in taxes out here.
A survey of the largest cities in the U.S. a few years ago shows San Diego with the lowest per capita police staffing levels in the nation. Officers say levels have dropped even further since that report, and now they are at about half the national average.